Hello, this is Navy Old Salt Gamer. I'm back on the Vulcan in the Stationeers Brutal mode. I skipped a little bit, just started mining, so I'll get this started. Of course, mining is a little boring, but I could speed this up. I might look into that for future videos. But on this one, I'm looking for everything, but I really need to find some gold. And that becomes a big priority here at the end of this little mining session. But of course, like I said, I'm trying to get everything, trying to head in one direction so I don't get lost. I don't need too much silicone, so I'm not too worried about that. At this point, anyway. But the mining seems to, and I get into the lava here a little bit, but no harm done. Oops. I'm trying to save my backpack, my jetpack a little bit, because you go through it pretty darn fast here if you're not careful. So I do a lot of mining by leaning on the edges and holding the arrow key up against a wall. And of course that shook me up a little bit, so I'm like hitting the wrong key over and over. And here's my first big, I'm like, oh, I'll just take everything I can get in here. And there's some stuff way down in, and after that last little episode, I'm a little chicken to go all the way down there and get it, but I do manage to go down a little bit. Trying not to get a hot foot. And I drained that one dry, and I still don't have any gold. And I really need some more copper, too. So there's some copper and iron, so I said, well, I'll hit that, see how far I can get with that. And this one, if I remember, it doesn't turn out too bad. I'm doing a voiceover again. Just seems to work better this way. I don't know, nobody's complained, so I can point out my mistakes that I made and cover what happens a little bit better because it already happened instead of happening in real time. If that makes sense? I guess it did. So this turned out to be a pretty good vein for copper and iron, but still, it's getting closer to daytime. And there we go, I threw my mining tool for some stupid reason. Fingers on the wrong keys. But I'm still looking for gold, and I know night doesn't last too long here. Swap the battery. So I'm like, okay, I gotta try and find some gold, but then I see this gigantic thing of iron, and you just can't resist it when you see stuff sticking out of the ground like that. And then I'm like, yeah, okay, that was good iron. Where's my gold? And then I run into a big copper, and like I said, you can't resist that, so you mine a bunch of copper. Meanwhile, you're not getting any gold. And I'm watching the temperature. It's still 126, so it's not morning yet, but it's got to be getting close. And now I'm like, okay, oh, there we go. And this doesn't turn out to be too bad, better than some of them, but not good either. And I just keep digging, hoping that there's more. And of course, with the crappy mining thing, it takes forever to do gold. Which doesn't make much sense to me because gold's a soft metal, but I guess it's supposed to be in quartz, which is hard, so I guess that's the logic. And I'm like, okay, oh, there we go. And keep digging. I'm like, you give me a few more. I only got 20. It's not bad, but I really wanted more than that. And of course it says here, mine here for gold, and then you mine there, and there's nothing there. And I'm just about to give up here. And then it did that again, and then, okay, a couple more. And I dig around some more, but I think that's all I got. Nope, one more, at least. I'm up to 29. That's a decent amount. There's another one. So, not too bad. A few more. 36. I really wanted to stack. It's still 126 Celsius boat. So, and there's some copper, and I have no room for copper. And I said, well, I got to find some gold. So we got to get out of here and do one last look. It's starting to brighten up, so I'm thinking, I'm going to run out of time here. And then I kind of do something stupid here. I know I don't have any room for, and that got my attention. I was like, oh, it's shiny. So, as you can see, the temperature's going up. So dawn's coming. I should have went in, but I just wanted to find a little bit more gold before I went in. And it ended up taking me longer than I would have liked. You really shouldn't be doing this. And there's my base, and I should have went in there. And of course I fell down, wasting more time. And then I look at the top of this mountain, and I see shiny stuff, and I'm like, it's 200 or 190 degrees, heading up to 200. I should have went back to base, but I said I got to go get some of this gold. And now it's 220, going up 221. I shouldn't be out here in this time of day. And then I fall in the hole, and I said, okay, that's enough. I got to get back to my base. You know, just staying out until it's, you know, almost 300 Celsius is probably not the smartest idea in the world. And then, of course, you sit down here and you waste time and finally get that up and then turn the vent on. Alright, so we start smelting. I do have to watch my batteries, of course, typical. This day actually turned out to be a pretty productive day in the long run. I'm still a long ways to go, but it's not too bad. Now you see it's at 1 kPa, that the temperature's 100. That's not horrible, but I have a rough time getting it down to 0 for some reason. And I think it's because I got some pipes that aren't insulated there, and of course with this arc furnace running too, it's putting out some gases. Now 67 isn't horrible, but it's still pretty high. And if you look in the upper right hand corner, I'm starting to have another issue. I'm getting stinky pants, so that's going to come out a problem. You don't want that to turn red, because if that turns red, then you start, morale gets low, and you start demanding more food and demanding more drink, and that's not something I can afford to do. So I'm looking at that thinking I have to take care of that somehow. And again, batteries are an issue. Power's not horrible, but it's not ideal either. Thinking about something here, and I can't remember what it was. Oh, this is where I make a mistake, by the way. Oh, no, not yet. That's later on. Which I'm thinking, wasn't there more in there? Now, in between episodes, I borrowed a couple cables and put that one wind turbine up the top. And I'm like, oh yeah, I took the cables. So now I got to print some cables. Now I'm out of copper, so I had to dump some copper. Come over here and print a few cables. And right there is where I took them from. Because I didn't have any copper, and I wanted to hook that up. And I did that before I went mining today. So now I got to hook that back up to get the electronics printer back running. And I'm thinking I'm done here for some stupid reason, and I'm not. I need another one. I'm like, you idiot. And then I hit the on button, and then I forget to start it. Hello? Starter. There you go. Okay. It's fun to mock yourself when you do voiceovers. Now, I needed to do that so I could get the ores out of there. Because I want to... After that last one, I'm like, I got 4,000 left in my jetpack. I got to set up a method of recharging my jetpack, and I'll give, I think it's Venetian Gamer, credit for this one. This is a really good idea. I don't know where he got it from, but this works out really well. And like I said, when I use somebody's ideas, I usually give them credit. Unless it's a general thing that I see other, a bunch of places, but this is the only person I see doing this, and of course it doesn't work like I planned. Nothing does on Vulcan. I'm like, well, I could put it there, but then I realized, well, no, I have to put the regulator there, and then I'm looking on printing out regulators. I print out 3 instead of 1. So I'm like, well, I'll put the extras back here, and I'm like, well, I haven't put the one that I need up yet.
Power critical.
It's a lot of silly little mistakes. And my battery situation right now is kind of scary. I'm a little low again, but it's because I'm smelting and doing things and running things at the same time. And I leave as long as I'm smelting, I kind of have to leave that exhaust vent on to disorganizing my batteries, making sure I got all of them out here. I can't wait till I get some steel so I can make a station battery and keep these charging all the time and get a little bit more power. It's not a big deal right now, but it is a deal. So now I'm thinking, okay, so I'll move this over 1 and put the valve or the regulator in there. But well, I'll put the regulator there first, and this takes me a couple seconds to get it. I am colorblind, so these green hazy drawings are very difficult for me to see. I think I've mentioned that in the past. I'm red-green colorblind, and of course they made those green. A lot of games have color vision modes. This one does not, as far as I know. Now I'm thinking, well, now it's not going to fit there. For some reason it would go that way, but not that one. I think it's because you need a pipe in between there and a regulator. So I'm like, well, I'll put it over here then. There we go. So that's not the way I wanted to do it. I am going to switch these to insulated pipes once I have steel, but I don't have steel yet. So you don't have to tell me that I'm letting warmth in here. Remember, it's a vacuum, so that's not going to matter. And I don't have a labeler, so we do the long-term clicking here. And I think I set it to about 85, 86. But this works out really good. And again, thanks to Venetian Gamer for actually showing me this idea. Now I need some more cables because I used them all, so I can use my electronics printer to do the cables. And I should have some more copper behind me, I believe. And again, I apologize for the dark video. You have to do this at the beginning. Shortly, I won't have to do this anymore. And I'm debating, should I do gold? Yeah, no problem. Now I'm thinking, okay, let's do some rails so I can wire up that regulator. Because I'm a little scared to jump into these ditches because, like I said, you use your jetpack at 5 times the rate in this mode. And if you wander off and start flying around in the craters, you end up not making it back with anything in your jetpack. So you've got to be really careful until you get a way of doing this. And there we go. So that's all wired. I don't want to use up all my copper. It's still running. Okay, so now I can turn this on and put my jetpack tank in there. That'll slowly fill up to 8,500 with outside air, which obviously I can't use inside, but it won't hurt anything to do it inside. Or did I say that backwards? I can't do it inside, but I can do it outside. I'm not sure if I said that backwards or not. So now I got some stuff running, and that little battery was getting low, so I was kind of worried about leaving it in there and having everything shut down when I wasn't paying attention. And again, power is an issue, so you got to kind of keep an eye on it. And it is going down with everything I got running. It went from 79 to... And that's because the regulator's going. That's only at 5,000. I want to get it a little higher than that. Now it's 76, so it's still going down. Somewhere around here I decide to, I think, stop smelting. I'm looking up here how much more time do I have to charge these batteries, and it doesn't look like it's a whole lot. And I'm down to 72. And 71. So I'm not charging, which is kind of alarming when you have, you know, low batteries. So here's where I think I said, okay, let's stop that. I don't know why I turned it back on here. It was, it turns off and it gives me one more copper. I did that. But that's off. Now when that's off, if the temperature gets to nil, and here's where I'm saying, okay, power is an issue. I got to build more wind turbines. And I could do 2 more before I run out of gold. So I go ahead and do those. But notice the temperature and the pressure is nil now. So I should set that. No, not over here. It's 500 yet. Why is it now nil, 500? What's going on? I'm not sure why the temperature is still so... Now it's nil. Now I can... I'm walking around, yeah, it's nil everywhere. Good, I can shut that off. I do have 1 wind turbine at the top, so it's not like I'm going to, you know, not get any charge overnight. Now I'm thinking, okay, it's time to do the nighttime routine here. 55, 26, 53. My batteries aren't sitting too good. But you still got to do the nighttime routine.
Hunger caution.
I don't know why this wouldn't go in. I tried 2 or 3 times and the battery would not go in. So I had to, like, what is the problem here? But finally, I put another battery in. Unless there was a battery in there already, that's possible. I'm checking it's 0 pressure, so I can go ahead and pump that in. And it's getting dark. So I should be mining now, and I'm not. Because I'm a little behind schedule because of the batteries. And now I've just emptied my tank. I'll let that get sucked in there. And change my oxygen.
Air tank critical. Oxygen low. Oxygen critical.
That's close enough, I think. It's still 38 degrees in here for some reason, but I wasn't going to wait any longer. I got to turn everything up. I should, oh no, I left that on. See, I got my 2. I want to see what my batteries are, and that one's at 0, so I'm like, oh crap. I got to take one that has some in it, not that one. That's not too bad. And then I got none in there. So I kind of think mining is a little out of the question tonight. I don't remember if I did it
Hydration
or
critical.
not. And my food warning's going off, so now I got to do this. I didn't do that when I should have. I fell a little bit behind today.
Oxygen critical. Low pressure.
And I have to do it again to eat. And I accidentally opened a water for some stupid reason.
Pressure critical. Oxygen critical.
Okay, so at least I get
Low pressure.
food and drink, even though I have no batteries. So now it's just like, okay, well, let's go put these up there because I got to take care of that. And that fell the correct way, so I'm not worried about it. Now, I do have food and water in the lander. Not in this episode,
Power low.
but I finally wake up and take that out of there around day 6. I think it's right after this episode. I actually went out and brought that in before the storm destroyed it. I actually, when I got done filming this, I was like, ooh, the storm's going to be pretty soon. I got to get that in here. And I didn't film that, but right after this episode, I run out and get the food out of and water out of the lander. Thank goodness. I haven't had the storm yet. I've only filmed this one this morning, so I'm assuming it's going to come pretty soon. So there's one more. I get maybe 1, 2, 3 more up here. So that'll be 5. I don't think I can go a lot further than that until I go with heavier cables. If you get a storm, I think maybe 6 is what I was figuring. I added that up somewhere. And these actually help a lot. These 2 make my power issue quite a bit better. You know, of course, everything that you put out there, it helps. But it did make things a little bit better. Now I'm like, okay, how much time do I have to go mining? I don't know, but let's go see what I can do. And now I'm thinking, where's that gold? I want to get that gold. And of course, I go to the wrong hill. It's not on this hill, it's on the one to the right, which I realized later on. Yeah, maybe there? Something doesn't look right here. I think it's over here. And I still don't find it. But I find some other ores later on. I didn't do a very good job of mining here, and it's kind of disappointing. And now my battery's alarming, so I just decided I got to mine something, so let's go do this iron. That was a really stupid way of mining this time. I should have just found what I was getting. And the more you fly around, the more time you waste. And of course I go up there and try and get that gold again, up in that crevice. And then I fall in the hole. Waste more time. Here's a bunch of copper. I think I say, well, I'll just take some copper and hopefully I run into something. And see, now I don't have to worry too much about the jetpack. I can fly around a lot more, and it does make it a lot easier. There's some gold. I'm like, cool. So unintentional gold, and it's not a horrible amount down here either. Worked out pretty well. And then I said, well, I should get some coal because I'm going to need it for steel. I didn't get enough of it. As I screwed around, if you notice, it's already 148 degrees, 150. So now I'm like, well, I kind of blew that mining night. But I can do some work inside. And my power situation should be a little bit better now. Get all that hot air out of there. You can see my big battery's green, I think. But it was definitely higher than it was. Now I'm trying to get my batteries all ready to be charged. 7%, 46%. And that's it. I'm thinking, ooh, I hope the ship don't run out. Yeah, and then I'm like, I don't like doing the gold right after I close the building because you never know. $67. That's a lot better. I have a 68 battery to put on my suit in case I need it. Now if you look in the upper right hand corner, my morale's starting to drop. So that's a big adjustment I have to make now. And I'm trying to think what I can do to fix that. I got to be able to take my suit off. I'm looking for some more ore. Thinking here's why I make a door. I gotta Yep. So here I'm making the door. I gotta get my little pressurized room going here. Because I gotta be able to take the suit off. And then I look at that and I say, well, I'm still at almost, 5,800. I can skip that this time. Keep the smelting going. And there's my door. Now I'm trying to put the door here, and I'm thinking, wait a minute. I didn't know cables interfered with it. And I'm being stupid again. Dumb mistake. And now my suit's alarming. And my iron is cooking. Or my copper. I'm not sure why I shut that up there. I think I was worried about the battery. And then I realized, oh, you idiot. That's the wrong door. I'm thinking that cable's in the way. I'm like, that's not normal. Oh, yeah. Wrong door, dummy. I know why people use hatches so much. They're so easy to make. One steel or one iron sheet, and you got yourself a manual door. It's pretty handy, actually. Now I'm like, okay, it's nil in here. Shut that off. Now here's where I do. Ooh, blue battery. Okay. I think this is where I pressurize the room now. Could be wrong. fading. I'm like, yep, let's take all the, here's where I'm venting all the waste tank air that I put in there. And it gets this little room up to 30, which isn't too bad. But I say, well, I wonder if I can breathe this. So I take my helmet off, and there's not enough oxygen in here. I even look at it. And if you look at it, it looks like it should be. It's, but then I take my helmet off, and it says oxygen low.
Oxygen low.
So I'm like, okay, well, that's not good enough. And I'm a little shocked by that.
Oxygen critical.
But then I go over to the tank, and I open that for a few seconds, and raise the air pressure up just a little bit. And then close it back down. I didn't use up hardly any oxygen there. I still got 6 megapascals in the tank, I think. And then I take my helmet off, and it's okay. So now I have a room where I can take my suit off, be comfortable, eat, get those 2 yellow things down up there. And this is my last bottle of water. And this is when I realized I never took the water out of my lander. And I looked down at the day, and it's day 6, and I'm like, ooh, isn't that when the storms come? And I'm kind of surprised what it says there is it's not increasing, or not decreasing. Now that one, see, that says not decreasing. And I'm like, oh. And those 2 wind turbines really helped my batteries. Made it so much easier to keep everything charged and running. I'm trying to find my batteries, and I realize, well, there's one in my suit that's laying on the floor. But you see how it made my large battery blue, that in the sun. Here's where I said, oh yeah, it's in my suit. And it's at 70, so that's not horrible, but I figured I might as well swap it out. Then I throw my suit down, and then end up picking it up 2 or 3 more times. I should have just left it in my hand, because I got to dump my tank. So I do that. So that's good to go. And I say, okay, now we're okay. And then I'm like, wait a minute, I got to refill my oxygen. Oh yeah. Good thing it doesn't hurt to waste time in here with their suit off and stuff. So there you go, I got 6 megapascals out of my tank there, so it's not a problem yet. It will be shortly, so I got that in my back of my mind now where, yeah, my oxygen tank is not low, but it's getting there. So I got to get that taken care of somehow. Now I do have a water bottle sitting there, and I think it's still sitting there. I accidentally took that out during the last night, and I forgot about it. So I do have 1 bottle of water sitting on the floor there, and I think at this point it's still sitting on the floor. So I may have a full bottle there. Oh, there's another battery. Again, this gets kind of slow, but when it's realistic. When you play Vulcan in this mode, you kind of have to deal with the kind of boring stuff. I mean, you got to sit here and let your suit clear up. Now the one went away, but my mood is still not happy, and I want to stay in here till all that's gone away. Which it doesn't take too long, but as soon as I look at it, it's like, oh, good, it's gone. So now I can get back to work.
Oxygen low.
And I'm thinking, you idiot, you got to take the air out of here first. That would have been bad. And then I'm thinking, okay, I put more air in here. What's the pressure like in here? Only 18 megapascals. Not a big deal. So I'm not too worried about that. Waiting for it to get back to nil. It just now did that. So I can swap that back over here, because that's where I'm going to need it next. And I do have my light on. I think at this point with the 3, I didn't worry about it too much anymore. I have enough battery charging to make better videos with the light on. I don't think I turned it off anymore. Don't quote me on that, though. And I'm back to smelting, so I turn the saucepan back on. Now I'm thinking, okay, it's time for a furnace. So I figured that corner is a good spot for a furnace. Now, for some stupid reason, I thought the furnace was made in the electronics printer. I was thinking advanced furnace, and I don't want an advanced furnace. I just want a regular furnace. So I dump all the gold, or all the ore, out of the autolathe. I did turn it off. Yeah, then I changed my mind. I said, I don't have to worry about that anymore. So I put it on the electronics printer, and I do a search for furnace. And it's like, what are you talking about? I'm like, I want a furnace. F-U-R-N. No? And I'm like, crap. And I tried again, thinking I spelled something wrong. And I'm like, oh, you idiot. It's in the autolathe. So now I have to take everything back out of the electronics printer and put it in the autolathe. It would be fun if you didn't make mistakes. But it all worked out in the end. I get my furnace. I'm like, oh, geez, I hope it's not in the pipe bender. But there it is. So we get that started. Of course, I only want one, so I click the button.
Power low.
So I pretty much got all my batteries charged in this run. I got swapped that out with my suit one. But with those 2 more wind turbines up top, it really helped a lot. Not perfect, because as you can see, I think this one is going down now, but it's at 87%, so it's not a big deal. And I finished with that, so I'll do another iron, because that's quick. Chuck that in there. At this point, I like to keep everything in one thing, and so, I mean, you could just dump it and move it to the other one. I see a lot of people that have the rollers laying on the floor. I usually do that when I get the deep miner going, but there's why I see 6 megapascals in there yet. So thinking ahead, thinking, what am I going to do with my oxygen? Here's where I'm looking. Yeah, I never brought that out, so I got to get that out of the extra food and water out of the lander before a storm comes. And I'm waiting for the furnace to get printed, so I'm just smelting away as that's working. I'm keeping an eye on my battery charged. It is in the yellow now, the big one, so you can't use the arc furnace and a printer and the vent at the same time with this 3 wind turbines going. It slowly decharges, depending on the wind, of course. And I'm looking to keep my everything charged as best I can. So basically, I'm taking the way it's hooked up, I'm just taking a lot of the charge into the 2 small batteries because it's hooked directly up to, well, the solar panel and the 3 wind turbines, but So despite the fact that I'm using power, those will keep charging slightly. And here's my furnace. Now again, forgive the green display with my vision. I have to move around, put it at different angles to see what I'm looking at, squint my eyes, stand on my head to see it. I'm like, okay, I think that's upside down. Oop, and there it is. It's right side up, but I didn't see it. So I moved it again. And there it is. And now I finally saw, okay, it's in the right spot. So now I'm trying to figure out where to put it. Too far over. I haven't decided about framing this in yet. I probably will. Again, I'm not a big fan of reaching through glass to do things. So I see that a lot. And in order to open this, if you encase it with glass, you can move the lever through the glass. But, you know, that's, in my book, that's not kosher. So until I get the advanced furnace where you can program it to open, I'm a little hesitant to encase that. Now we'll see how hot it gets in there. Of course, I'm going to vent everything outside, and when you have a vacuum, you know, you might get some temperature, but it shouldn't get too bad.
Power low.
I'm looking at my batteries again. 46. I'm thinking, well, I'm not going to be smelting anything, so I can turn that off. And it's nighttime. So it's time to go do some stuff. And this one, I'm not looking for anything in particular. Oh, I'm sorry. This is where I'm going out to look at getting rid of that extra frame that's taking up space. So I put a window here, or an iron wall there. Wall that in. And then I go, well, what's on the roof? And I'm thinking I got to pull that frame out. I got to cover all the edges here. I said, yep, I got to put something on the roof. So I'm thinking, well, I wonder if I could put a wall underneath that. Now, you can't put that on top of a wall, but if you put it on a frame, then you could put a wall there and then pull the frame out, and it works, which doesn't seem kosher either. At this point, I'm just checking batteries again. And then I'm trying to do this wall, and it's not letting me do that wall. So I'm like, okay, well, why don't I just take this out and go from there? And I'm thinking, oh, wait a minute. Now, it wouldn't have mattered because my window's open. But I'm like, yep, it's not closed in down there. I got to weld that shut. And I was thinking, boy, that was a good save. But then I remembered, well, my glass is off anyway, so I really wouldn't have done it. But there we go. Now it's completely enclosed. So now I can run in here and remove, and I'm just doing a quick double check. Yep, thinking about it. I said there can't be any harm in this. So, pop them off. No issues. And I put a battery. I can't use the wrench for that. I need the grinder, and the grinder doesn't have a battery. And there we go. So now I have an extra frame in my inventory. And then I could put a wall there. I just want to keep that closed so I can, keep the vacuum going in that little section for now. So there we go. Now I cleared that spot out, got my furnace where I want it to be. Now I'm thinking, well, it's a little early to get rid of the arc furnace. I might need it again, but I don't want it right there. So I yank out wires, and it takes me a couple tries on 2 of them. And I get my screwdriver, and of course I don't have any battery in my screwdriver. Well, now I do. And not sure what I'm looking at here. Charge, so checking my batteries. Okay, we'll charge that one. And then I move that in the corner here. I figure that's a good spot. It's only temporary. And it's out of the way. It's not a bad spot at all. And in case I need it, because I don't have my furnace piped in yet, I want to get it piped. And there's some more iron. Now I'm kind of done for the day. It's starting to warm up, 150. So I'm like, okay, let's close that up. And then here, I think this is where I end the episode. Try to turn that on because it's a good spot to end it. Day's coming. And I figure what the heck, I might as well just end it here. And there you go. That's episode 4. Let me know what you think. If you have any recommendations for the next few episodes, this is where it's going to get tricky with food and water, power, the furnace. If you have any recommendations, let me know. Put it in the comments. As a Navy Old Salt Gamer, you have a good day.